Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video we're going to be unboxing, assembling, and testing a brand new 3D printer from the Longer Company. Now, if you follow me over on my Instagram page, you will always know that I do a ton of 3D printing for the model railroad. I do the night lights and things like that, and I 3D print all the time. It's basically running. I have the Longer LK4 machine from Longer, and I've collaborated with Longer in the past. You might remember last year we unboxed and tested the Longer Ray 5 laser engraver, which I'm slowly learning more and more about the process and the technology side of that. But Longer reached out to me and wanted to collaborate once again and sent me their brand new Longer LK4 X machine. Here it is. It arrived the other day. So that's what this video is going to be about. They asked me to review the product, and I'm gladly going to do that. Before I move the camera, most 3D printers come with a little sample roll of filament to test it and make sure everything is working, but Longer went the extra mile and sent me a roll of their branded filament. This is PLA filament. That's about all I print with. Well, it's actually all that I print with, but it's in white because I paint a lot of my models that I print out for the trains and all. But really, really cool. Thank you for that. Again, I'm really, really excited to do that. So let's move the camera over to the workbench and start unboxing and assembling a brand new 3D printer. And we are going to begin unboxing everything. Everything is packaged real well by the Longer Company. And keep in mind that this printer is 90% pre-assembled, so the gantry arm and the printer bed are already attached with all of the cables, so you just have to be careful when removing it from the box. You can see here where the cables are connected to everything. Glancing over the instructions, and these simple instructions are good enough for me because I have already put together several 3D printers on my own. But if you would need a more thorough guide, on the provided SD card that comes with the printer, there is a full manual in PDF format, as well as a full step-by-step video on how to assemble and level the 3D printer, in case anyone needs better instructions. Going through here and locking the gantry arm in place, and these are the 4 biggest screws. I have all my screws and wrenches laid out on a paper towel just so I can keep up with them. I can already tell that this printer is of a way better build quality than the original Longer LK4 model that I've had for years. But we will now install the filament sensor, and this printer does not have one of those Teflon-like tubes that most printers have. It goes through this sensor straight down into the extruder block, and then we will lock in the spool holder. Everything went together real nice on this printer and locked into place securely. Now we are installing the touchscreen here, and I go ahead and hook up the wire and use the 2 screws to lock it in place. And then the next thing to assemble is the bed leveling sensor, which is a new feature for me. I've never had a printer with one of these on it, and it was the hardest thing for me to install and lock into place because the screws were so small. If you're better with smaller parts, this will be very easy for you, but for me, my fingers just did not want to hold those small screws and get them started where I could lock them into place. But once everything is tightened down, I will start hooking up all of the wires, making sure they are going into their correct place. And on the 3D printer there is 2 zip ties holding the extruder block and the printer bed in place. We will go on and cut those and remove those. And finish hooking up all of the wires. It took me around 30 minutes to assemble this printer, start to finish. Next we will hook up the power cable and make sure we have the right power voltage. and turn the printer on for the very first time. And I will install the SD card here in the front that is provided with the instruction manual and video on it, and also our test file. And I'll move the 3D printer over to the CNC machine and install the longer filament that they sent me and preheat it and level the bed. And then we will proceed to our very first print, which is the traditional benchy boat that looks like a little tugboat. And the bed leveling sensor is new for me. It was tedious for me to level the bed with this technique, and I'm sure I will get better with it the more I use this machine. It was just a new feature that I had to learn. And the bed on this machine is actually magnetic, so you do not have to worry with the little clips that you have to use on a lot of 3D printers. And obviously this footage is sped up. It took around 2.5 hours to print out the little boat here. And this machine is so quiet when it runs. I was doing other stuff in the workshop while this printer was printing, and there were times I thought that it had stopped printing and turned around and looked and it was still going. It is that quiet. But really, really cool. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. I'd really appreciate the support, and I will also leave contact links to all of Longer's social media and their website down in the description box below the video. It is finishing up here on the little benchy boat, but it came out in such amazing quality. I was highly impressed with it. And once it is done printing, we will let the machine cool off, and I will take the boat off the printer bed and we will wrap up the video. And once the 3D benchy was printed, I went ahead and moved the LK4 X into my climate controlled 3D printing area next to its older brother here, the original longer LK4. You can kind of compare them now side by side, but really, really cool, and happy to have both units running side by side. Once again, thank you, Longer. And that is the brand new Longer LK4 X 3D printer from the Longer Company. Thank you, Longer, for sending me that amazing printer. It has a lot of the new 3D printing bells and whistles on it, and I'm sure I'm going to have years of enjoyable printing on it. Here is the piece that we printed today in this video. It's the traditional benchy, which is kind of the traditional tutorial piece that you print out when you get a new 3D printer, just to make sure everything is calibrated right, and it came out fantastic. Again, I printed this with the Longer branded PLA filament, but really, really cool, and I can tell everything was calibrated right after leveling it correctly. It is a little tricky for me to level this 3D printer. It's a little bit more tedious than this, just an Ender style printer or the original Longer LK4 printer, but as you've seen in the video, I've already got the printer moved out of the workshop and into its permanent home beside its older brother, the original Longer LK4 printer, and you can kind of see some of the differences and upgrades that they've made from the LK4 to the LK4 X. A dusty workshop like out here where the heat, humidity, and coolness changes throughout the year and throughout a basic day around here, especially when there's no heat or AC out in this building, there is not a good spot for a 3D printer, so it is now moved into its permanent location as you've seen in the video. But I was more than happy to build it out here in the workshop where I am most comfortable assembling things, and all my tools are right here within arm's reach. It did come with all the tools and the sample filament. Again, I did not use the sample filament since Longer kindly sent me a whole roll of PLA filament, but really, really cool. Had a lot of fun in this video. Thank you once again, Longer, for sending it to me, and I will leave links to all their social medias in the description box below. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and also follow me over on Instagram at Artisan Pirate. Links to all my social medias as well as ways to contact me will also be linked down in the description box below. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.